welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Today we're going to talk about some real dark side of the ring, and that is wrestling in Mexico, where cartels will rob the promotion or kill the performers. And yes, we're going to talk about some of that stuff today, because it was announced by Lucha Blog that a recent CMLL show was robbed. So July 26, 2022, Lucha Blog posts about this thing, and it says, quote, "There were 2 Arena Pueblo staff in the small office. One man appeared to be pressing tickets. He's writing down on a ticket location, crossing it off the map. The other man was standing with the door half open, waiting to take those tickets to someone. Instead, a masked robber came in, threw the waiting man down on one chair, and pulled the ticket marker out of his chair to the floor. The robber keeps the Pueblo employees away while a second robber comes in and grabs the money and other items. The incident lasts less than a minute. There's also an exterior video showing no security on the public side of the door. Additional report mentions private security was hired and just didn't do their jobs. The 2 robbers easily rushed to the ticket room. There's so little fuss that multiple bystanders go up to the ticket window to purchase a ticket, only to realize what's going on when they look through the window. Those bystanders include a family. When the group's father figure sees what's happening, he starts to go towards the room to help. A third burglar, this one wearing a backpack in the front, blocks his path and appears to flash a weapon at the bystander, who wisely decides to back off. Local Pueblo reports say there were actually 4 robbers, so maybe the 4th was handling not present security. 160,000 pesos, about 9,500 US dollars, plus the personal effects of Arena Puebla manager Benjamin Marr and ticket seller Enrique Rivera was stolen. The robbers have so far gotten away with the crime. Fans inside the building had no idea anything was going on, and CMLL has not publicly addressed the situation. Now, apparently this is such a big problem that it actually happened in 2019 as well. In 2019, CMLL was also robbed. So this is from Fightful, because the Super Luchas, I tried to go to the primary source, which is Super Luchas, but the translations is absolute disaster. So we're going to use Fightful, of course. So it says, less than 24 hours after CMLL held its weekly show at Arena Puebla in Mexico, armed assailants reportedly stole all of the money that the live gate generated. Several Hispanic publications are reporting that the live gate from the December 9th show was stolen by 3 armed assailants at around 1 p.m. local time. The assailants reportedly went to the venue to ask about information before threatening employees. The reports did not mention an exact number for the entire live gate, but it is estimated to be around 230,000 Mexican pesos, which converts to roughly $11,940 that was stolen. Soon after the robbery took place, police were called, answering a 911 call minutes after. Once police arrived, however, they were unable to ascertain who was it that stole the money and unable to detain any suspects. The Secretary of Citizen Security eventually arrived and launched an investigation into the matter. No injuries were reported at the scene of the incident, and employees were present, remained to give their testimonies. The show was headlined by Caristico, Titan, Star Jr. It was like a 6-man tag or something. So apparently this is such a big deal that not only did it happen to CMLL twice, it also happened to AAA. That AAA got robbed so many times once they were in financial dire straits. This is from August the 6th, 2010. This is from Lucha Blog, who covers Mexican pro wrestling. He says, quote, AAA's recent behavior indicates they're having some financial difficulties. They've cut back on bringing in outsiders. They've cut back what they're paying those outsiders. They've been unable to sign Dr. Wagner Jr. or LA Park to long-term deals. They've moved from the expensive Arena Monterrey to the not-so-expensive Arizabaza Bull Ring. There is a reason behind this. On this Tuesday's Figure 4 Daily Steve Sims explained AAA had issues 1 or 2 TV tapings in February. Dr. Lucha explained it's common for AAA and others to have to pay a sort of protection fee to the local drug cartel and or mafia to prevent problems from occurring on the show. One of those tapings, there wasn't much protection. AAA was robbed of the entire gate. No specific taping was revealed, but you can look at the listings of the tapings in February and probably make a strong guess. AAA normally pays its wrestlers straight out of the live gate, so they've been cash poor since this incident. So we're going to skip ahead to this important part right here. It says, AAA has decided to run all tapings within 2 hours of Mexico City, feeling there is not near the same mafia drug cartel control that close to DF. Arena Naucalpan, which is smaller than the usual tapings locations, becomes an option when they're looking into a small arena. Arena Monterrey, far away from Mexico City, and in an area surrounded by drug violence, is not. Dr. Lucha didn't speculate on this situation changing anytime soon. My guess is, if they were cutting pay a month after Triple Mania, they're struggling and may not have started to recover. So that is a major concern. This is some dark side of the ring stuff. Hey, we're going to host a show. Whoops, we're going to get robbed. We got robbed. What on earth? Who robs the entire promotion? How do you get away with this? But it's not just robberies. There's also tons of murders of luchadors in Mexico. So from 2009, AJ Darlario, who I think is the same guy who posted the Hulk Hogan sex tape, wrote a story in Deadspin about some hookers killing a couple of Mexican minis. What? Yeah. So it says this. Lucha mini wrestlers La Parquita and El Espericrito, real names Alberto and Alejandro Jimenez, were found dead Monday inside a hotel room in Mexico City. According to local authorities, the two wrestlers had brought 2 prostitutes back to their hotel. The prostitutes drugged their drinks and then robbed them. The hotel clerk told police that he saw the 4 go into the room at around 6 a.m. on Monday, and that the 2 women left roughly 12 hours later. Due to their small size, the drugs ended up killing them. Both were 35. Wow. It says, later in the article, after hotel staff noticed the women leave the room hours later, but didn't spot the wrestlers, they went to go check in on them. The 2 luchadors were found lifeless, lying in the beds. Reports are being released that the hookers belong to Los Gorteras, meaning the Drops, which is a gang of whores that robs their clients after making them pass out by drugging their drinks. Unfortunately, the Jimenez brothers overdosed on the drugs, which normally don't kill men. But officials believe because of the brothers were of such small size, the dose was fatal to them. Alcohol containers were also found in the room, but the ladies are still missing. Cops are looking for the 2 females and luckily have found fingerprints in the room, which they believe they can match to the hookers. Now, of course, there was no follow-up to this, because who the hell would follow up talking about 2 men who were murdered in a hotel room by some hoes? Why would you want to follow up and try to figure out whether somebody was actually arrested for this? So poor luchadors, oh my goodness, you work in such terrible conditions. But it wasn't just the minis. This is from the Latin Post. Mexico, Jalisco New Generation Cartel may have murdered 2 Lucha Libre wrestlers. They're just shooting them. What is going on down there? So this is a story. Mexican independent wrestling promotion Promociones Freseros Brothers recently canceled their Sunday show scheduled for August 28th due to 2 of their wrestlers being found dead. They were found in north central state of Guanajuato, and police have been able to identify both men as Lucha Libre wrestlers. One of the wrestlers, identified as Marimoto, was found to be dumped behind a National Guard barracks in the city of Arapuato last Sunday. Meanwhile, the other wrestler, Lepra, was also found dead earlier this week. The independent promotion announced that they canceled their Sunday show as a sign of respect for the two deceased wrestlers' relatives. Promociones Ferreso brothers described Morimoto as a, quote, dear and respectable friend and colleague. Both luchadors were reportedly abducted last week. However, photos circulating over the social media has shown that a banner for the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the most powerful drug organization operating in the area, have been shown near one of the areas where the bodies were found. Unlike major promotions like WWE, AEW, New Japan, independent wrestling promotions do not pay all that much. Thus, these wrestlers often are forced to take day jobs in addition to their gigs as luchadors. One of these wrestlers is Lepra, identified as Salvador Garcia, who worked for the municipal government in Aripuato in his day job. Oh my Jesus. This guy worked in the government and just got killed. This is insane. However, the day jobs of these wrestlers may not have led to their deaths, even Lepra's connection to the government. Instead, it may be connected to their association with a third wrestler who was also killed. So 3 wrestlers were killed. Juventud Rebelde, he was gunned down last May for allegedly working for another gang. The CJNG also accused both Lepra and Morimoto of working for their rivals. Thus, they have been killed. They have also claimed responsibility for killing all 3 luchadors. However, the banner did not specifically say they were targeting luchadors. According to the Associated Press, the CJNG sent a message to the Lucha Libre community stating that they had nothing against them, but their attacks on Juventud Rebelde, Jerry, Lepra Salvador, and Morimoto were directed towards them alone. Juventud Rebelde was the first luchador killed by CJNG in Aripuato, Guanajuato. His real name was Jerry Garcia, and according to Marca, he was killed while leaving the gym. Several men tried kidnapping him at gunpoint, but he refused. This ended up in a struggle, but it led to the luchador being shot. Police and paramedics soon arrived and tried to save his life. However, they were too late, and they soon pronounced his death. His father, another wrestler best known as Black Star, called for justice for his son. In a now-deleted Facebook post, he said that the Lucha Libre world is in mourning. He blamed the government because it had already been taken over by narcos. He then asked wrestlers to seek justice for his son. Good luck with that. So, wrestling in Mexico, not exactly glamorous. They'll rob the live gate. They'll kill your boys. What on earth? Look, we know that, Mexico is a narco state. We already know that. Which is why we get so many people saying, build the wall and all this kind of stuff. But how does this stuff go under the radar when we're talking about some of the worst things that could happen to wrestling? We just talk about people getting robbed in Mexico like it ain't no big deal. Like, oh yeah, it's just another CMLL arena robbery. Like this is what do you mean? This should be front page news. Why aren't we talking about this more? I understand hey, these guys are like small independent wrestlers. They don't really matter that much. They might get killed, not saying that their lives aren't important, but they're not stars. So it makes sense. These guys are indie wrestlers in Mexico. Who knows what kind of shit they were tied up in. But for a major wrestling promotion to be robbed of its live gate, and for this to happen so often, we definitely should be talking about why wrestlers would even go to Mexico. The crazy thing is, it's not like, hey, these people are, they're just, targeting certain folks. This has been a regular occurrence in Mexico for a long time. Jack Evans in 2021 put out a video claiming that he was being extorted by Mexican police. This is from WrestlingNews.co. It says AEW star Jack Evans posted a video on Twitter of an altercation with police in Mexico. Evans said, quote, they tried again, alluding to the police allegedly trying to extort him for money by claiming that he had drugs on him. On December the 8th, Evans tweeted that he has to pay 7,000 pesos, around $350 American, to police and that if he got arrested on drug charges, he wanted it to be known that the drugs were planted by Del Valle Police Department. In the video, Evans speaks in Spanish and says, "Again, the police is here to extort. I will not pay you nothing. Leave me in peace. Leave me in peace. This is ridiculous. Police corruption. Leave me in peace." A woman is heard speaking, and Evans says he can't call the police because, quote, "these are the police." He spoke in Spanish again and noted that he has been robbed by them before of 7,000 pesos, and he runs because of corruption before telling them to leave. So this is a regular occurrence that there is just insane amounts of corruption in Mexico. Why on earth would you continue to work there? I don't understand it. I don't understand why this guy continue, like, he lives in Mexico apparently. And this is insanity. They're robbing the live gates, they're killing the boys. The police are even robbing the boys. But Dark Side of the Ring is focusing on us. Focus on the American wrestling promotion. Again, they're just trying to draw money and TV ratings and stuff. Like on this channel, we talked before about the Mexican luchador serial killer that was taking place down there. Some people have said she wasn't a real luchador, but she was just like a small indie wrestler. And she murdered a bunch of old ladies. Like this stuff, the culture in Mexico, there's something wrong with it. Where this stuff is pretty routine and it's to the point where it's not you don't make a big deal out of it. No wonder all of these guys try to leave. Anytime a Mexican wrestler learns how to do a tumble, he's trying to get the fuck out of Mexico. And that makes sense if you look at it. But you're not allowed to say that stuff without being called a racist or a xenophobe or anything like that. But this is also why I'm surprised that these companies are still in operation. How can you operate having to pay protection costs and all this and having your talent robbed? How can you continue to do business this way? Like there's no respect for property rights. There's no respect, decorum. The crime is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand how this works. And this is also why, you'll probably never have a performance center in Mexico. Like who the hell wants to pay cartels so you can leave these people alone? And of course, if the police are corrupt and the government is corrupt, this ain't going to work. This is ridiculous. Now, I know it was just as bad in Japan at some point where the Yakuza was involved with the major wrestling promotions and the MMA promotions. And we talk about that a lot. But we don't talk enough about how the cartels on our very border are running wrestling promotions and robbing people and all this sort of stuff. But it's not just, this is what is really blowing my head off, is that in 2021, AAA actually canceled an event because drug cartels made threats. So this is from Bleeding Cool. The English version of this article was a nightmare for me to read. It says, this week was supposed to be the Metapec Fair in Mexico City, Mexico, where the fair would be the setting of a wrestling show by AAA and Big Lucha. That never came to fruition, though, as the show and the entire fair that it was a part of were abruptly canceled when loud public threats were made by a local drug cartel promising to spill, quote, innocent blood. The Metapec Fair, which opened on October 29th and was supposed to run until November 14th, the AAA Big Lucha show was to be held on November the 10th, was called off after numerous threats from La Familia Michoacana, a local drug cartel. These threats were seen in the form of banners hung on overpasses, and according to Mexico News Daily, the banners read as follows: urgent message. We inform all the artists who are going to perform at the Metapec Fair not to perform at that venue, to avoid the spilling of innocent blood, including theirs, due to the actions of that bum, the businessman Mario Garcia. They are prohibited from performing. Respect our organization, and we will respect your lives. Familia Michoacana. Mario Garcia is the Metapec Fair's promoter, whom the cartel is reportedly trying to extort. The amount of extortion and kidnapping that is going on down in Mexico is absolutely insane. And you don't hear virtually anything about it. Damn near nothing. about this whole ordeal. Here's an interesting bit. I saw an article about why you don't see luchadors portray sort of drug cartel characters. And the number one reason typically is because the government doesn't really allow it. But they talked about narco culture in Mexico. It says narco cultura has penetrated Mexican music and hip hop, rap, and especially the narco corridas, the ballads of the rise and fall of drug lords heralded as wily Robin Hoods, outfoxing a corrupt or incompetent government. Narco ballads are so popular that authorities have tried to ban them from radio and stop popular performers from singing them. It says narco cultura is on display in popular literature and best-selling exposés in Mexican soap operas and films. One of the most popular Mexican movies last year was El Infierno, a tragicomic farce on the narco traffickers filmed in the style of the Coen brothers. Mexican newspapers exude moral panic over youth aping gangster cultures. Narco style has even found its way into religion, represented by the popular Saint Jesus Malverde and by Santa Muerte, the angel of death. So this is scary. But, it's no different here in the U.S., where you have the hip-hop gangster culture that, permeates everything. Apparently they've been doing a good job of keeping that stuff out of wrestling in terms of there's not a lot of thug or gangbanger type of characters, even though, you do see these guys wearing bandanas with the crazy tattoos and stuff. But that's, not necessarily narco culture, but they try to keep that stuff out. But this is a big deal. At least I think so. What do you guys think? Let me know what's going on in Mexico if you're from Mexico or you follow Mexican wrestling. Is it just this is how Mexico is with the kidnapping and the drugs and the extortion? Or am I blowing out of proportion, collecting a lot of little things together? Let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys later.